schools really want to open up. And I think I visited a couple of projects, and I can say they were to help with the chicken shed show, the intergenerational inclusive show, which I thought was very ambitious actually. And I went down to Blaze and see what they were up to. And I'm happy to see those in the that. That was really, really nice. They take all year 7 and do a 2-week second year induction. So when they then go to school centre, they've done it back here. They know their way around and they're comfortable. They have some 25% of children, young people who are eligible for school meals attend in the summer. That's quite a number for some scheme. The council one schemes were also very successful. Which one of those two would have had the programmes? I did send them round, but I think you may have got them in hard copy as well. I was in sections, well, 2 sections for that today. Both at there are 2 more outstanding schools, St Aidan's and Bounds Green, to add to our list. But 98% of our schools are good or outstanding. What else has been happening?
I was going to say, you said quite a lot, so maybe we could.
Okay,
but
you do. Sorry.
No, it was very good to hear all those interesting positive development. Obviously, in regards to looking back at the result of this year's GCSE A levels, like the school results, the panel will receive probably in our future meeting an update from, like, just for us to have an opportunity to look into the data. Yeah, so we will have a report
on the detail.
Yes, exactly. So we're looking forward to read those reports and just to say thank you very much for that update. And now we can move to questions. Any questions? Yes, Mark and George. Then I've got a couple of my own questions.
So it sounds very positive. The HLP, is it HLP?
Yeah.
And very positive. But my question is regarding the cadets.
Regarding
cadets.
Cadets. Oh, cadets, sorry.
Like, so the flight cadets have GCSEs and they work with academic also as part of their. Do we have any information about that?
No.
So, and what input do the council have with the cadets? The cadets is something which is an amazing scheme because it doesn't cost the council. And it's something where if we could push it as council, I think it would be amazing.
I would have to check with Jackie or Emma, I think, about the cadet corps, because it probably perhaps fall within the youth provision. I can't answer that question now, but we can get a written answer. I don't know if Jane wants to say something.
No, we don't tend to get them sent to us. We could, it may be that the youth service might have a better idea, but otherwise it'd be individual schools would claim that as part of their. But I mean, I'm well aware of it because my son went to cadets and did additional qualifications. So, but we don't have a way of feeding that back in. But schools might. I don't think there's. Well, there isn't any. There isn't any reporting mechanism for those third sector through to us to the schools.
I think it's right that there are outside of the local authority statutory responsibilities, which is what we're reporting, that there are other places where children and young people can be supported, and they may want to be independent of their schools when they do this work. And as Jane said, that what we're reporting back on is what is the council's responsibility. I'm not proposing to be able to gather that all that information, because that would be commissioned probably by the schools. But it's right to acknowledge that there are others who support children that do a fantastic job. And we see those other opportunities as part of the alternative provision. I don't know that we've yet managed to develop the strongest relationship with all of those other of the experiences to children, and that might be right. Because I know that in another place that I worked, there was a relationship between the fire service.
Yeah, thank you. I've got three queries, I guess. First one is about HLP, and you have to exclude my ignorance. Is the HLP model sort of different to models in other local authorities, i.e. children that have been excluded are just sort of lumped in with other kids with SEN needs? Obviously, kids with SEN needs within HLP, I'm sure, but is that model substantially different? What do you define as where?
I might ask Dan and or Jane to add, so I mean, one section. Absolutely, this is entirely different. I think that the way young people now are being disciplined or dealt with, schools seem to have is a bit fragmented, and groups cannot really pass on any change, or especially saying that's what was going on here before it came back into the local authority. So, and our approach has been to do high quality, inclusive, highly and very educationally based. So the head teacher, the executive at HLB, is an experienced teacher from secondary and brings all that commitment to education. So it's not about managing behaviour by, constraint or by discipline, but by learning, really, and valuing young people. And that isn't the case everywhere. And there are just some egregious examples in the education, some of the education press about it looks at isolation and don't have lunch on their own, and they having long hair or short skirts or wearing. There was one the other day on the BBC website about going to school, shoes weren't good enough. There was the same shoes to go all the year before. I mean, it's just extraordinary what's going on, and none of that is happening here. I hope, and certainly HLB is modelling child-centred teaching and learning. Now, I don't know whether Anne or Jane want to add it.
Should I go first then? So thank you, Councillor Brabazon. So just building on what Councillor Brabazon says, I certainly haven't done any research up and down the country to know whether this model that we have in Harry is replicated anywhere else. But what I think we've got is the model that's right for Harry here. I very much remember the story of when in 2018 when I started that no one wanted to send their child to what was the Oxford. No child wanted to go to the Oxford, and professionals and teachers didn't want to send anyone to the Oxford. And so TBAP, the academy chain that owned it, no longer did. And then what we put in place was a vision for a pupil referral unit that was the best in class. It was going to support every pupil, and that we were going to see the positives in them. And it took a while, and we were really fortunate, as Councillor Brabazon says, to get a really experienced head teacher who could hold that, who understood about with the school. So we're really, really proud of the unit, but it doesn't work in isolation. And by example, like we've reduced the exclusions in Harringay, and the HLP is part of that, but it works as part of the family of schools. So I think what's really important in the ingredients is that the head teacher, if I may put it this way, spoke the language that is with the issues that our head teachers were experiencing, and so therefore and support children, from the other schools. Yeah, I think we're really proud of it, and it's doing well for our children and young people.
Right, thank you, that's really helpful. I did the other quiz.
Yes. Please.
So the achievements of the young people this year sound fantastic. I was wondering specifically, and I might be putting you on the spot, whether you had some data or any insight into the outcomes for children that are homeschooled, that leaving children as well.
I'd have to ask Jane to answer that
Do
question.
we even collect the homeschooled stuff, if that's it, the same kind of category as stuff?
So, I can't report to you at the moment the results that we have got. We've got a little bit more insight around those young people that are electively home educated because we've enabled them to have an exam centre. So one of the things that happened when I arrived, we had parents who chose to electively home educate who then were struggling to find somewhere where their children could sit exams. So we solved that problem and they actually sitting in HLP, which is really helpful because it's an LA maintained alternative provisions for able to do that. So we will have some data, but I'm afraid I don't have that at the moment. And then the second part of your question was around looked after. Yeah, so our children in care, yes, I have got some data on children in care. At the moment, I've only got key stage 2 and phonics, and that's because it takes a long time for that to lift up because the key stage 4 validation days we don't get until about November. So that's why I normally report it in the January scrutiny. But at the moment, we don't have full benchmarking in terms of statistical neighbours or London, but I've got the raw data. There's sometimes such small numbers in terms of our children in care that I need to look at that and then report it back to you properly.
Yeah.
But we have had some individual stuff in our children in care cohort that's been absolutely heartwarming.
If you are interested in that, I'm sure we could, meetings down the report on virtual school. We can have a discussion about that.
That was my three.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you for that. Anna, yes, that's not bad. Thank you.
And can you speak up the acoustics here?
And you mentioned, Councillor, you told us, Councillor Brabazon, about the students who did really well in their A levels, and that's really fantastic to hear. But there will, of course, be some students who didn't get the results they were looking for. Is there any support in place for those students who missed the grades that they were aiming to get?
I certainly hope so. I mean, I don't know the absolute detail. To be honest, it wouldn't be my sort of come within my day-to-day counsellor thing. But again, I take it up to Jane, who could tell you what schools do if young people didn't succeed. I certainly know places like the Sixth Form College, they would support people if they had to do retakes, and I'm sure that sort of thing happens. It's interesting, but I'd have to ask Jane.
Yeah, so we used to have a statutory duty to provide information, advice and guidance, including on results day. But that was quite a long while ago, and I'm trying to work it out. And this so somewhere around 2010, there was a massive change around that. So now the schools, it's for schools to provide, and we make sure that all the schools have got somebody on site on the day for GCSEs to look at progression if they haven't got the grades they wanted to get. And as Councillor Brabazon says, our post-16 providers do the same. So there will always be somebody from the school that will be there to support them in putting an application through clearing, through UCAS, if they didn't get their first choice of university. But we get all those figures eventually coming through to us in terms of first choices from the schools and from the college. But it is now a responsibility for the educational setting to provide that information, advice and guidance.
Thank you. Any other questions? I can move to some of my own questions. I want to ask a question about early years provision. We obviously government extended the preschool, free early years support. And just want to have a better understanding of what's the current take up of that sort of spaces. And also, like, would it be possible to kind of estimate how much resources that area, there will be additional resources in that area and how we can basically, I can't actually understand.
I might have to give you a more general reply and then a written answer on the level of take up. But just to recap, in early years, the offer has been expanded because of government money, which came from previous government. So now parents of children who are 2 can get 15 hours free, going up to 30, I think, in April. And I think it's just started, that started in April 2024. And this September, for babies 9-month-olds, started as of this week. So I don't know if we're going to see what the numbers are. But certainly take up for 2s has been increasing in this borough over the last year. There's been a really big campaign to encourage parents to take up, particularly targeting the groups that haven't always done it, particularly Somali families, Turkish families, where we know there's been a shortfall. But there is the incentive to the providers because the rates that the government pays is much higher than it was previously before the expansion. I haven't heard that we're not doing well, but certainly a briefing of the fuller amount. I can say that nursery schools will have the waiting list. And no providers are having waiting lists and goes over vision. I think it is the picture. In the broadest sense, broadly, the government gave us an extra £10 million for early years through the early years block, assuming that we're going to have big numbers and the increased rate. So it's a pretty good news story. And Jane, again, I don't know if you've got, I don't know.
I was just trying to look, but we probably have to see. I've got a figure of sort of 80-something%. I know that we were heading very high for 3-4-year-olds. 2-year-olds wasn't quite as high as that, but we'll get the percentages to you.
So does that mean there will be extra resources? Will it generate extra resources?
Sorry?
Then you mentioned 10 million.
Well, it has to live within the budget. Early years has to live within the funding that is provided. And the funding for early years comes from the DFE, and it comes through the school support, through part of the dedicated schools grant.
Yeah.
And so the dedicated schools grant is 200-something million more probably, and within that is was 30, I think it's 31 million now, about 31 million for early years, and that's the budget. That's what we've got. That comes to our school, and we're allowed to spend 5%, take 5% off, and the rest goes out to the providers, and it's basically funded like everything else in education, bums on seats. That's there you get the money. And so take up early, it was really important to target take up in the 2s. Whether it does meet the needs of working parents, we will find out. There's lots of scepticism in the sector about it.
Thank you very much. My next question is on child poverty and for the action that we are taking to kind of address that. Or we know that obviously the bills are going to increase by 10%. So this would be extra resources for families who are low income. There's no indication that the future child benefit cap will be lifted. So what is it that as a council we're doing to address making sure that children are angry and
what I mentioned in my opening remarks, a lot of the activity group fund. So that was free lunch for children, free school meals throughout the summer, linked with activities, the government has just extended the household support fund for another 6 months. The top priority in household support funding is free school meals in the holidays. And that's where the biggest chunk of that actually goes. And we're staggering along because we've been agreed in 6 month tranches at the minute, but now it's secure till the end of the financial year. It was running out at the end of this month. Obviously, the mayor's runs the free school meals in primary for another year, so all children from reception to end of key stage 2 have a free school meal every day, irrespective of the income of their parents and so on. Our job is to make sure that all the families who are eligible for free school meals are made, because that draws down the pupil premium to the primary schools. Every family eligible for free school meals is another £1,400 school budget primary. So they're a different incentive. And so we haven't stopped our campaign, in fact, we've relaunched it for people to claim. We absolutely need them to claim. When it comes to other things, there's a small budget for school uniform grant that the council holds. And what I have to give a big hands up as well, a big thank you to the Deborah Rees Foundation, because they provided lots of support to poor families, coats, winter warmer kits, shoes, across our most needed schools. So, I mean, we're doing our best, but of course, child poverty is much wider than just what children's services are doing. I don't know what else I've found this to anything that we're doing. I think, have I covered it?
Have recently, still.
Uniform grants. And then,
And
obviously,
our
we all
support
manage
fund, which will obviously support families that are facing the difficulties of,
you know, so, I mean, obviously. I mean, deal manager holds the section 17 budget, which is another budget for the children in need. So very dire need, just saying.
So in terms of where we have families that are identified where there might be a need, we undertake assessment to make sure basically how those needs can be met. To respond quickly when children's needs are identified. But again, there is a lot of need.
I think it's one final point, because you've asked a very big question. Schools will routinely have food banks now, clothing banks, toy banks, sanitary, sanitary products banks, shampoo, soap. And, you think we're a very rich country in 2024, and schools are having to do stuff like that. Goes way beyond their remit of we're here to educate children. But if they're hungry and they're poor and they've got decent clothes, the schools see it absolutely as their responsibility, and they do an amazing amount. As I said, if we had the budget, personally would like to see much more social involvement. We don't have the money to do it. If we really had to, we did.
thank you very much for that. Okay, Mark, and actually I'm gonna take Amanda, because you already asked one question. Amanda first, then you, Mark.
So, thank you, Stephen, Councillor.
Sorry, couldn't you see that?
I know, I usually do. We're talking about free school meals and the need for the council's need or preferred. They would prefer it if more families kind of, took up the free school meal option. So being as we're in such a diverse part of the world in Harrogate here, has there been any consideration to how we're going to reach out to those families who may be really in need but extremely proud, and it isn't their way to, accept or take on free school meals, because that is actually a reality. So my question is, how do we speak to those families in a language that they would understand and feel comfortable with, to, you know, saying that it increases the pupil premium for a parent like me, that makes complete sense, I get that. But that doesn't translate to other families. So how are you?
The fact that we need to reach those families, the fact that I'm connecting that here doesn't mean that's how it's communicated.
No, I know that, I know that.
We have done a fantastic campaign. We work really hard. It's hard for local authorities to communicate with people. I think sometimes the envelope, brown envelope might arrive, goes to the bin. So right, what it's about, no clarity. So I think we're pretty aware, so we tried. We have a video, a film, it's on our website, and it's in other languages, so it's in Somali, Turkish, I think Bulgarian, I can't remember that language, certainly in those three, with people who come from those communities saying, we've saying very simply, free school meals, help your school, a very simple message, and that was done by a professional company, and we've just had to re-edit it slightly because the premium figures have gone up. So, we might ask all schools, run the video and share with their families. We have centralised effectively the communication with parents when children start school. They have to apply to admissions, and irrespective of how proud they are and how poor they are, or where they're from, they know that they have to go to admissions. People do know them. So they have all the names, they have all the addresses, and most importantly, they have the unique reference numbers. But what you need in order to make sure you get people to apply for schools is their national insurance. That's a key piece of information. And to James' team, we've been working on a campaign. As we've got a committee, as on the steering committee, I'm chairing it, James on it, officers from the bishops and so on, plus procurement and so on. And we've been pushing this campaign for months, just like since the mayor first introduced it. And we've had improved take-up. They've had improved take-up because the message to people is, even if you're getting it for free from the mayor, apply for free school meals insurance up. It's a very simple message, trying to get it through and doing it straight from school admissions, so not being against the school. I'm sure we're never going to reach everybody, but we have brought down an extra £1 million, just around many more people. The sad thing in this borough is that our numbers of eligibility are lower. Another, because we have a very wealthy west and a poor east. So actually, we don't have as high numbers of people eligible as other boroughs. That is something that's just because we have a very divided borough. But I don't think we're missing out because people are too proud. I don't think so. I think we're just trying to be people. It's our job to reach people. It's not their job to reach us.
And I ask this question, I speak to parents, I speak to families, they speak to me. And yeah, you know, it isn't their job to reach out. Quite rightly, you said it's down to the local authority. However, when you speak to people from a humanitarian point of view and as human beings, you know, pride before a fall, you could say. But there are some communities where that really isn't a thing from where they came from. So it's harder to reach them or to get them to understand that actually it's something that you're entitled to.
I was going to say it's quite useful if we have any members and yourself, anyone coming across with people who are not aware of what's been offered, whether they're eligible, the veteran are eligible, or respond, could email me or send that information to myself or email, and we will be able to pass it. I think it should be. I do agree with Councillor Brothers of that the campaign around pushing for the take-up is really well actually promoted. So if there are still people we're not reaching, there's clearly, we've got to find a different way to do that, so I would be happy to kind of, take that further. But also, can I've got other questions.
I just want to say that as well, it's later.
Can we please keep our responses slightly, shorter?
Could I ask you through send to send out videos on links on our website and encourage people? Basically,
I believe it's already on our website. So I knew
because basically all they need to do
section.
all they need to do is give us their, they don't have to do anything. All they have to do is give us insurance, and we do.
Thanks.
Great, thank you for that. George.
So you mentioned about 2 years and 3 years, but then you mentioned about 9 months. Can you explain what you meant by the 9 months?
Yeah, the government have expanded access to free childcare to parents, working parents, babies 9 months old. So providers can, if they're offering, they will be funded, parents will get 15 hours for paid for by the government grant. And then from next April, they'll have 30 hours. And there's billions of employees from the government. The question is, are there enough staff to do it, and premises can do it, will schools do it? School like Strawberry, in order to take babies, so they've grown their own nursery class, if you like. And we're talking to some conversations going on with a couple of schools in Tottenham about that. So, you know, if you want to do it, you've got to see where the opportunity is, but yeah, babies onwards.
You FSM for NRPF families?
They get free, they get free school meals. The government,
But if we don't get that, I think.
no, the FS free.
We don't.
No, we don't, the government is,
Oh,
the
okay.
government expanded it to include,
To include them.
yeah, I think the clothes actually. From memory.
Are they, sorry, just to follow that on, are they funded by the mayor, like the mayor's?
Well, no, yeah,
Yes,
no, I think
are they?
that's.
Okay. And my last question, I mean, I have one more question, Lena. It's around accountability of how are we maintaining accountability from our schools?
Around schools, right?
Yeah, because the schools, we have different types of schools, and the reason this question is prompted partly by, you know, inquiries after inquiries, which highlights the failure of lack of a body that's accountable for something terrible that's happening. So I just wanted to ask you.
Well, it's a very
Yeah.
big question. Because of course, we've got so many different types of school that
Yes,
exist in the borough, so maintain schools, or like community schools, accountability. Schools are self-governing, so they're accountable, they're accountable to their own bodies. So the local authority has powers, if we're concerned about, say, the budget or whatever, local authority can intervene and intervene around safeguarding, intervene on other areas, and I'll have to go into how many different. If there are academies, I'll be broad. If there are academies, they're not accountable to local authority. They're accountable to the local schools commissioner and ultimately to the Secretary of State. So, and if they're academy chains, they run them. So they're not accountable to us. So working with them locally is more difficult because we don't have a responsibility for their activity, except I think what we safeguarding they override for that. I'll pass to Jane. Then there are the church schools, Catholics, and the Church of England have their own structures as well, that might be more relationship with local authority. So holding schools accountable when they're a self-governing, have governing bodies who effectively would have to do with performance and so on. And then having this fragmentation makes having a whole education system a very difficult task. So accountability is really hard issue. Pastor Jane. to say something.
Yeah, so we have statutory duties, that's for statutory powers under the schools causing concern guidance. And that means that we can appoint additional governors if we're concerned about governance. We can withdraw a delegated budget, which means that they actually don't have any budget, but we control the budget. We can intervene when we're concerned about strategic direction of the school or finance or about the standards. So that allows us to do anything from serving a formal warning notice to disbanding the governing body and putting in an interim executive board. So we use those powers when we need to. In terms of the work with academies, no, we don't have that same, we don't have those same powers. But it's really important we work closely with the Regional Schools Commissioner's Office. So if we are concerned about something that's going on in the academy, they're still our children. So I will always still raise it with our academies. And then if I think it's got to a point where we need to involve the Regional Schools Commissioner, then we would do that if we thought we weren't able to solve it. But safeguarding does trump everything. So if you have a safeguarding concern about a school, then we're able to raise that with them directly.
Thank you very much for the response. I'm taking that there's no further questions, so I'm going to bring this item to end. Thank you very much, Zena and colleagues. Also, I wanted to recognise that, thank you for all the great work that, whether it's on exam results our children achieve better, or whether our children are receiving alternative provisional education, receiving good education, and that service is highlighted as a very good service. It's recognised. So thank you very much for all that hard work. And now we're going to move to the second, next item, which is hiring a down from area the CQC offset inspection outcome. So just to remind colleagues that we actually did have a discussion about the offset inspection and had our questions asked. So this would be Jarrett would be introducing the report to us and just telling us anything, like just basically talking us about reports. On this note, because Councillor Adam already mentioned that she's got the questions, I will be taking only your question in regards to this item. But if everyone else, like, we don't have extra time for additional questions because we've already discussed this item in our last meeting.
Yes, sorry, Chair. I think I appreciate the time is finite just to get through. I think just so at the last meeting, the papers were circulated. Fair enough. I think it was just.
Apology for that. I completely. So we're ready to basically on the future, and then we will have some questions afterwards. Anyone else can ask questions as well as Gina, and she will be given it.
That's great. Good evening. So I'm here to present really the improvement plan that followed on from the Ofsted Send inspection. I think firstly we wanted to provide some assurance that despite getting a good Ofsted inspection, CQC and Ofsted inspection outcome, we still want to pursue excellence in our Send services, and there is no hint of complacency within the local authority improvement plan. So we've got a consistent focus on the priorities that were identified as part of Haringey Send strategy. There are 5 priorities, and you will see that each of the improvement plan areas fall under those 5 priorities. So we continue to work together to achieve the outcomes and ambition that was set when we set the Send strategy back in 2022, following the last inspection. So there are 5 priority areas, and I wanted to draw your attention to our consistency of performance in relation to children with SEND since the inspection. So you'll note that plans, education healthcare plans continue to be issued within 20 weeks, and I can confirm that over the last month, 93% of plans were issued within 20 weeks, and that's continuing our ambition to have at least 80%, if not more, plans delivered within timescales. 77% of plans issued over the last month involved a co-production meeting with the parent, carer, and where appropriate, the young person, which again was an ambition set out at the start of the strategy, and we've maintained consistently over the last 3 years. Finally, we continue to support our colleagues at the ICB where children are having to wait for assessments, and we know that waiting times are longer than anyone would like nationally for speech and language therapy for autism assessment. We continue to support NHS colleagues by providing opportunities for children and families to receive